Howdo. So apparently you can't build a guitar without a router and some templates. I beg to differ. Hi, I'm Chris. Welcome to King Bespoke Creations. Yes, we're going to cut the body out today using just hand tools. So not the big power outers, no templates involved. The sketch that I've done, and then literally measuring with the items that we have. Now, unfortunately, I've lost the first little clip of recording that I have when I came to editing. All that showed us was clamping the neck in place to scribe out where the neck pocket should go. So literally clamped the neck onto the body and then drew around it with my marking knife very accurately, and then the rest you can see from there. So sharpen a chisel, grab a saw, and let's see if we can cut a body up. So once we're marked off, the way I start any mortise hole is to go from that cut line at the end, figuring again that the grain is going this way. So I'm going to start with the grain ending. I'm basically just pushing the chisel into that cut to begin with, and that will give us a pretty solid edge to start with. So once we've got that and we've got a few fibers deep, we can then go in, chop, now depth for me on this pocket will be different to most guitars, so I'm going to go the full depth of the neck, including the fretboard. Now normally you wouldn't go anywhere near that deep, but because I'm carving all of this detail work out of here, I need the height originally to then carve away. So yes, this is going to be buried right the way up to this height, but by the time I've then carved this away to leave this standing proud, everything's going to be fine. So there we have the bulk of the neck pocket cut out. Now it's not perfectly smooth, and you'll notice I haven't gone right up to the edge where we want to finish either yet. Save that till last. But we want to get this bottom section nice and flat. Now we could just keep going with the chisel. We could maybe use an extraordinarily long chisel to make sure it runs perfectly flat all the way in. We could do that. Or, yes, before the invention of the power router, there was the hand router. And I've made one. It's just a big block of wood. I was going to smooth it off and make it all decorative, but then I just needed to use it, and it's been like this for years ever since. Basically, the blade is just made out of an old Allen key. So a nice big chunky Allen key that I've ground down flat at the bottom and then put a point on there as well. So I can slide and move around from the top of here, and as it goes in, it will peel through and give me that exact depth nice and flush with the top, but without the noise and the dust and everything else that goes with the power routers. One nice flat bottom. Right, to trim the edges, there's a nice little trick. Get a big block of something very square, lay it alongside the line that you need, and then just pare down with the chisel, keeping the blade flushed up against the edge of here will give you that perfect square edge. One neck pocket, definitely in, nice and snug, neat and tidy, and running flush on the top, which is what I wanted for now. Right, now we can move our attention onto the pickup cavities, which means I can recess some of this neck as well. So doing this pickup cavity and this one here, the surrounds I'll sort out later on. Now, speaking of pickups, let me show you these little puppies. 4th Avenue Guitars, I'll put a link to his YouTube in my description, decided to custom make these for me. Look at these. So each of these pickups has rope and burnt, singed off fabric on there as if the sails of the ship have gone down in flames. He's even put my Crown logo on that bottom area there. What an absolute legend. They are phenomenal. So if you're after some custom pickups, go and contact 4th Avenue Guitars. I would want him to be way overbooked with pickup orders by the time this video goes out. That would be awesome. Oh, don't they look good? Right, so let's just deal with this neck pickup first. And I want the surround to come up to and butt up to the end of the fretboard as well to kind of all flow in. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of space there for the surround to fit. We're going to go back to that kind of line there. I've got a bit of playroom here, so I can stretch that carve into that area if I need to. With these square edges, a lot of people will try and replicate the round edge that a router would give you, but you don't need to. There's no benefit to it. Yes, if you were doing this without surrounds, you might want a round edge for visual properties, in which case use a corner chisel. But for these, we can absolutely do a square cut edge, and it's absolutely fine. We don't need to replicate what that router would have done. So there we go, 2 pickup cavities and a neck pocket, completely done with a chisel. Yeah, it's taken a couple of hours to get those done, but far more pleasurable for me than using a big nasty router. I didn't have to make any templates, I didn't have to keep adjusting the router for depth, I didn't have to wear hearing plugs, eye protection, masks, I could have the stereo on. It was a nice process, and you end up with something that works just as well anyway. Right, so the next task for me is to then cut this body shape out and give the back a bit of a plane because it's a tad on the rough side. Well, that didn't take too long, did it? Right, so we have our shape. I like it, it's quite nice. It's a bit excessively thick at the minute, but that's okay, we're going to work on that now. So I'm going to give myself about 10-12 mil, something like that, along the front edge for my relief carving. So then I'm going to give myself probably about 40 mil, which is maybe a smidge thinner than a standard fender or something like that. But with the extra thickness that we've got for the carving, it will still feel thicker than that when we're done. So if I go 40 mil across there, that gives me that distance, almost the same on the back there, to go all the way around for that. So that means I need to get rid of that thickness off the back of here to make that nice and flat. It's quite a fair chunk. Now there's two tools I'm going to use for that. They're both planes. So we've got your standard number 4 smoothing plane, which will be the finer touch towards the end. But also I'm going to use this, what is effectively a hideous plane, super cheap. To try and use this as a smoothing plane, it just judders and kicks all the way through. It's hideous. So what I've done with this plane is I've curved the blade quite substantially, and then that pokes out at a fair old thickness. So I've turned this into a scrub plane. Now basically that just means it takes great big chunks off in one go. So because I've got a big thickness to go down here, even though it's fairly soft wood, this will speed up the process quite a lot. You need to be careful because sometimes the scrub will want to dig in and start ripping some stuff out. So quite often with a scrub plane, actually going against or across the grain works really well because it doesn't get a chance to start lifting stuff out. Right, let's have a go and see if we can take some meat off the back of here. There we go. So the scrub plane's taken the bulk of the work out of that fairly easily, to be honest, as you can see from everything lying around. So now we're going to go off with the flat plane, the jack plane, and just smooth that off nicely. Well, I think that's worked quite well. We have a guitar shape. We have a nice flat back and generally correct thickness. Yes, it's a bit thick at the minute, but like I said, that extra thickness we've got on the top is for all of the carving. Pickup cavities done, neck pocket done, everything's going to fit lovely. So the next thing is to get the nice carving chisels out and start fiddling with this. Still a few things to think about, but on the whole, time to get going, I think. Could be the exciting stuff next. So until next time, sharpen your tools, because that's absolutely vital, and I'll see you next time. God bless.